हरि ओम हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाय नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओम समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्य देहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम नमः शिवाय 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 ओम नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये Har Har Mahadeva. Hari Om, Hari Om. So we follow the path of Karma Yoga, purify our mind, gain that Vairagya, approach enlightened master, do Shravan and Manan, gain self-knowledge, then renounce all karma, become yoga rudha, and meditate on our own self as Brahma and become free, become Jivan Mukta. That is the path Bhagavan has shown us through Arjuna. This is a path shown to the entire humanity. So here we are talking about the dhyana, meditation. So Bhagavan gives some external conditions which help us in meditation. Once we have gained that knowledge and become yogarudha, Bhagavan says, go to a solitary place alone and place your mind and intellect in your own self. Go to a clean place, keep your asana there, not very high, not very low. Sit there, control your senses, your mind, control their activities, and meditate on your own self to purify your antakarana. So sit straight with your body, your neck and the head in one straight line. Samam kaya shiro grivam dharayan achalam stiraha. Absolutely stira, steady, without moving, focusing your eyes on one point, on the tip of the nose, not looking here and there. So these are all external conditions which help us to meditate. But meditation is to meditate on the self. So after a long stretch of meditation, we will be able to locate our own self. That is the first step. And once we reach that step, our mind will start becoming more and more peaceful. So prashantatma, becoming totally free of all fear, vigata bhihi, brahmachari vrate stitaha, being totally dedicated to our Sadguru, to his teachings, and to Sadguru as our own self, as Ishvara, considering Sadguru as Ishvara, as our own self, controlling, having controlled the mind, one should place that mind in Paramatma, understanding that Paramatma as our own self. So Macchittaha Yukta Asid, becoming totally Yukta, well integrated, well focused, considering Ishvara as our ultimate goal, as Ishvara as the Param, Mat Paraha, considering Ishvara as Param. So this is the most important aspect of meditation. So let me explain it in more detail so that it becomes more clear. And Bhagavan himself will clarify it further also. So we will try to understand it more clearly with the help of some props. So first step is to understand our own self properly through meditation. So this is like our gross body, and these are all our subtle body of 19 parts. But the self is like the space. So associated with the Sukshma Sharir, the self assumes the role of doer, seer, knower. But without that, it is pure existence, consciousness and bliss. Without the upadhis, the self is pure existence, consciousness, bliss. But now we know it only through the upadhis, only through the conditionings of the body and the subtle body. So first, through meditation, we have to recognize the self, which is like the space, which is experienced as pure I am. That is the first step. And once we are able to understand that, then we have to meditate on that all-pervading space, that all-pervading Brahma, and understand our identity with that all-pervading Brahma or Ishvara. So that is the final leap in meditation. So again, to make it more clear, let me explain it further. So you please pay attention. So till now, from the what you call first chapter onwards till the sixth chapter, Bhagwan talked about this jiva, I. So I, the jiva, the atma, identified with my body, mind, intellect, experience sorrows, suffering in this world. I consider myself being born and dying. So I experience this world and I experience all suffering. That is my experience of sorrow and suffering, that is called samsara. So though I am that pure Satchidananda Brahma, I experience samsara. I experience suffering. So Bhagwan tells Arjuna that all this suffering is because you don't recognize yourself. You have not recognized yourself as you are. You are that pure self, birthless, deathless, but you have not recognized yourself, so you are suffering. So try to recognize that self. With the help of your mind and intellect, try to recognize. But since the mind and intellect is not now ready, it is impure, so follow the path of karma yoga to purify the mind. Then also do some upasana to further purify the mind. Then gain the knowledge from the teacher. Understand who you really are, that self-knowledge. Thereafter, renounce all actions, renounce the sense of doership which you are having because of ignorance, and meditate on yourself. Locate yourself. Understand yourself. So once you have understood yourself, then the last final step is to understand your identity with Ishvara. You meditate on yourself as Ishvara. Soham, Soham. Understand that I and Ishvara are one only. There is no difference between the self and Ishvara. Jiveshvarayoho aikyam. But who exactly is Ishvara? And what is the identity of this world which we experience? That has to be understood. We experience the world. The jiva experiences the world. In fact, all our gross body and the subtle body is made up of the world only, part of this world. So identified with this world, we experience our joys and sorrows. So what is this world? What is my relationship with this world? The jiva is just a witness of this world. The jiva has not created the world. So there are these three factors which we have to understand properly. And that is what the scriptures are, the shastras are teaching us. The real nature of jiva, jagat and Ishvara. Now, you pay attention, Now, there are some people, or there are some thinkers, or there are some, some faith, some beliefs. Different types of beliefs are there. So there are some beliefs, some faith, which doesn't believe in the existence of Ishvara. They say Ishvara is not there. Like in Jainism, as well as in Buddhism, they don't believe in the existence of Ishvara. They say Ishvara is not there. Then there are others who don't believe in the Jagat. They say Jagat is not there. Again, in Buddhism, they don't believe in Jagat. They call it Mithya. And even some people who have misunderstood Vedanta, they also call Jagat Mithya. They don't believe in the existence of the Jagat. And there are those who don't believe in the existence of Jiva also. Again, in Buddhism, they don't believe in the existence of the self. So they don't believe in the existence of Ishvara, Jagat and Jiva also. So Shunya. But Vedanta says all three are there. Jagat is there, Jiva is there, Ishvara is there. Jiva has not created the Jagat. We have to understand the relationship of Jagat and Ishvara properly. So that is what Bhagwan will tell in detail from the 7th chapter onwards. His relationship with the world. Bhagwan says, this world is an expression of my Prakriti. I have my Para and Apara Prakriti. They alone express as the world. Bhagwan says, I am present in the world. I pervade the world. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina. In each and every part of the world, Ishvara alone is present. I pervade the world. When you look at the world, behind the world, my existence alone is there. Just as a ornament is there, gold ornament is pervaded by gold. If you see a gold ornament without recognizing the gold, then you are not seeing it properly. You are not understanding the ornament properly. Similarly, a person who sees this world without recognizing Ishvara in this world is not seeing the world properly, is not recognizing the world properly. So Ishvara pervades the world. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina. And the world exists in Ishvara. Bhagavan says the entire world exists in me. I am in the world is in me. So that is the relationship. The world is not different from Ishvara. It is the expression of Ishvara's Prakriti only. Ishvara's Prakriti is his Shakti. Shakti and Shaktiman are not different, they are one. So Ishvara expresses as his Prakriti as the world. So the world is pervaded by Ishvara and the world exists in Ishvara. When we focus our attention on the world and understand it being pervaded by Ishvara, when we look at the world as expression of Ishvara, that is the Sagun Roop of Ishvara. But when we focus our attention only on Ishvara and the world is existing within him, that is the Nirgun Nirakar Roop of Ishvara. So Ishvara alone is Sagun Sakar and Sagun Nirakar. Like Tulsidas ji says, Sagu nahi, Agu nahi, nahi kachu bheda. There is no difference. So we should understand this properly. So in the 7th chapter, Bhagavan tells Arjuna that through my Prakriti only this world is created and I am present in the world. So world is in me and I am in the world. That Bhagavan explains to Arjuna in the 7th chapter. Arjuna had some question regarding the 7th chapter which Bhagavan answers in the 8th chapter. And again he explains his nature in the 9th chapter. These two statements you remember. Bhagavan says, I am in the world and the world is in me. Just like the gold says that I am in all the ornaments and the ornaments are in me. So in the 10th chapter, Bhagavan shows Arjuna how he is present in the world. He says, I am in the sun, the moon, the stars, in the mountain, in the river, in Devatas, in the Rishis. I am present everywhere. And in the 11th chapter, Bhagavan shows his Virat Roop, in which Arjuna sees the presence of the entire world in Ishvara. And in the 12th chapter, Arjuna asks that question about Sagun and Nirgun Dhyana, or the Vyakta and Avyakta Upasana. To meditate on Ishvara as the world, as expression, as manifest, as Sagun, is the Vyakta Upasana, and to meditate on Ishvara beyond the world, taking all the world within as Nirgun Nirakar, is the Vyakta Upasana. But both the Upasanas are of Ishvara only, because Ishvara is not different from the world. In Nirguna, the world is not seen. In Saguna, the world is seen, but Ishvara is present. So when we meditate on Ishvara with form or without form, we become one with Ishvara. And that oneness with Ishvara makes us free. So this you have to remember. If we say the Jagat is Mithya and discard it, then along with Jagat we are discarding Ishvara also. If we say the gold ornament is not gold, and if you throw it out, then when you throw the gold ornament, you are throwing the gold also out. The world is seen through our senses. The senses are praman. So what is seen is true. But the world is constantly changing. It is existing, but constantly changing. Therefore we call it changing existence. In Sanskrit it is called asat. Shankaracharya ji calls this world, and the scriptures call this world as asat. Asat means changing existence. But behind this world is that changeless supreme existence, Ishvara. So, our job in meditation is to understand our oneness with Ishvara, who is one with the Jagat. So when we meditate and understand our oneness with Ishvara, then I, Ishvara and Jagat all become one. Then when I look at the world with my realization, then I see myself in the whole world. Sarva bhutastam atmanam. Sarva bhutani cha atmani pashyati. Also, I see the whole world as Ishvara only. I see Ishvara in everything, and I see everything in Ishvara. So all three have become one. All three are Brahma only. The Jiva is Brahma. The Jagat is Brahma. Ishvara is Brahma. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma neha nanasti kinchana. So this you have to understand properly. So when we meditate, Bhagavan says, with a calm and peaceful mind, free of all fear, totally dedicated to the teaching of your Guru, having faith in the words of the teacher, taking the blessings of the Guru, with your mind under control, place your mind in Ishvara, who is not different from the world. The world is one with Ishvara, and Jiva is also one with Ishvara. So meditate on that Ishvara as your own self. Soham, Soham, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, Shivoham. So Macchittaha, Bhagavan says, place your chitta in me. Yukta asita, be well integrated. Matparaha, consider me as supreme. So for a long time, when we meditate on ourselves as that Ishvara, who is not different from the world. Because if you discard the world, then our understanding will be wrong. So, with our eyes closed also, we can meditate on Ishvara, and when our eyes are open, we will see the presence of Ishvara in everything. Siya Ramamai Sabajagajani Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. So when one meditates and comes to gain that abidance in oneself as Ishvara, Soham, Soham, Aham Brahmasmi. When one gains this abidance in oneself as that Brahma, then one will become free of all bondage. You will attain moksha. You will become Jivan Mukta. That's what Bhagavan now tells, the phala of this dhyana, the final leap. The final leap. Bhagavan says, what is the result? Yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi niyatamanasah shantim nirvana paramam mat sansthaam adhigacchati. Bhagavan says that yogam evam yunjan evam, meditating in this way, evam. Evam means as Bhagavan Shri Krishna has explained. not as you fancy. Meditation is not just a fancy thing which we do as per our whims and fancy. Meditation is a serious affair which has to be done properly, because misunderstanding in meditation will not help. We will get stuck with our misunderstanding. See, it's like a pot. With clay, you make a pot. The clay is soft, clay is wet, and you with the wheel and all place the clay and you make a nice pot. But after making that pot, you have to put that pot in a furnace. So whatever shape you have given to the pot, it will become fixed. After you remove from the furnace, the shape is fixed. If you try to change the shape, the pot will break. If whatever shape you have to give to the pot should be given before the furnace. Meditation is like the furnace. And through Shravan and Manan, we have to give proper understanding to ourselves. About the three factors are only there. So only three things you have to understand properly, but there are combination and permutations of misunderstanding of these three. Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara. Vedanta, scriptures, all Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Puranas, Itihas, Brahma Sutra, all our Shastras, Nana, Purana, Nigama, Agama, Sammatam, Yata, all our Shastras, they say these three are essentially one only. They are expression of one Brahma. But all three are getting expressed. So Ishvara is Brahma, Jagat is Brahma, and Jiva is Brahma. So don't say that Ishvara doesn't exist. Don't say that Ishvara is ignorant, Ishvara is has got any defect or anything. Ishvara is Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupaha. Ishvara is the master of this universe. If you say that universe is mithya, if Jagat is mithya, then Ishvara is master of what? A mithya Jagat. Like somebody saying, I am a king. So you ask, oh, where is your kingdom? No, I don't have a kingdom, but I am a king. So if you say Jagat is mithya, then we will have to say Ishvara is the Lord of the mithya Jagat, which is not proper. In the 13th chapter, the Bhashya, Shankaracharya says very clearly that since Ishvara is Nitya, eternal, therefore his Prakriti is also eternal. Therefore this world is also eternal. But world undergoes cycle. It is born, it exists, it gets dissolved. So this cycle goes on and on and on. So the Ishvara is existing, Jagat also exists, but Jagat is constantly changing, so it is a changing existence. Jiva also exists, but Jiva is one with that Ishvara, but now identified with the Jagat and Upadhis, thinks himself to be different. Because of his ignorance which is there from beginningless time, he thinks himself to be separate from Ishvara, separate from the world. So when that Ajnana gets eliminated, Jiva understands his identity with Ishvara and identity with everything. So this three has to be understood properly. The Shastras, they say all three are one. That's called Advaita. Advaita means to know that these three are one. Everything is Brahma. There are some who believe that they believe in all three, but they feel that they are different. Then there are, as I said, those who don't believe in Ishvara but only believe in these two, but they think they are different. So all combination, permutations of beliefs are there. One should not get attracted to beliefs. Should know what the Shastras are saying, gain proper knowledge. Don't hold on to beliefs. Beliefs will lead us into samsara only. It doesn't matter how popular those beliefs are. Truth is not determined by popularity. Truth is not determined by vote. If you have an election in the whole world, Vedanta may get lost. Vedanta will get defeated. And some Charvak philosophy or some other philosophy will win. Majority doesn't determine what is true. The Shastras, they clearly reveal the truth, which we can understand logically, rationally, and with the help of our own experience. So Bhagavan says that, hey Arjuna, meditating in this way, understanding your oneness with that Ishvara, Yunjan evam sada atmanam, and how long we should meditate? Sada. As I had quoted that day, the Yoga Sutra, that's a dirgha kala nairantaryena satkara sevita drudha bhumihi. How should our practice be? So dirgha kala, for a long time. Nairantaryena, without a break. We should not give a break to our meditation. In the sense, our thoughts and our attention should be always in this. Even when we are not meditating with our eyes closed, interacting with the world, doing our other work and all, our thoughts should hold on to this understanding that I and Brahma are one, and the whole world is expression of that Brahma only. सब में भगवान को ही देखो, भगवान के अलावा कुछ नहीं है. हरि व्यापक सर्वत्र समाना, प्रेम ते प्रगट होई मैं जाना. Everything is Bhagwan only. So sada, dirgha kala nairantaryena satkara sevita, with full reverence we should meditate. So when in this way, yunjan evam atmanam, meditating constantly on this atma which we have recognized through our first step of meditation, we should then understand that atma as that Brahma, means as that Ishvara, means as the entire creation, the Sagun as well as Nirgun, the Vyakta, the manifest as well as the unmanifest. Everything is my own self. I am the Vyakta, means manifest, and I am that Avyakta also. In the 12th chapter, Bhagavan tells Arjuna that whether you meditate on myself as Vyakta or Avyakta, you will attain me. So whatever be your ability and aptitude, you can meditate. So when I look at this whole world as Bhagwan and meditate on Bhagwan and dedicate all my actions and everything to Bhagwan, that is what is then called bhakti. So Bhagwan talks about bhakti then. Bhakti is meditating on Bhagwan, either Sagun or Nirgun. So this dhyana on Bhagwan, understanding our identity with Bhagwan, is also called then bhakti, Sagun bhakti, Nirgun bhakti, which culminates in total surrender and becoming one with that Ishvara. So from the 7th chapter onwards, Bhagwan will talk about himself and his identity with the world, and he will talk about bhakti, which culminates in total oneness with Ishvara. So everything is very systematically and logically, beautifully expressed. The teaching is given very beautifully. So yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi, dhyana yogi, niyatamanasah, with his mind absolutely under control, meditates on himself as Ishvara. Soham, soham, soham. Even our breathing is constantly giving that mantra only. When we breathe out, the sound sa comes, sa. And when we breathe in, the sound hum comes. So sa, hum, sa, hum, sa. This hum, sa is that mantra only, that aham is saha, I am that, I am he am I. So this sahaja, japa, ajapa, japa is going on. Bhagwan is giving us this, he is teaching us that even in each and every breath of us, this mantra and this dhyana is happening. Soham, soham, soham. So yogi, shifting his attention from the entire world, all distractions, and try to understand his oneness from deep within. Niyatamanasah. So with his mind totally under control, he meditates on his own self as Brahma. Ayam Atma Brahma, Pradnyanam Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi. All these Mahavakyas are fulfilled in this meditation. So when we are able to gain abidance in ourself as Brahma, when we are able to finally come to realize our oneness with Brahma through this meditation, we will be able to gain that direct experience. It's called aparoksha anubhuti, direct experience of ourself as Brahma. See, sometimes we look at a picture framed, and we are looking at that picture. It is on top of the picture is that glass is there. So you are looking at a picture, but as you stare at the picture, suddenly you can also see your own image reflected in the picture. On the glass, which is protecting that picture, if you look at that picture, you will suddenly notice your own image also is there. Similarly, when we meditate for a long time, then we will be able to understand, we will be able to see our own identity with Ishvara, and we will be able to experience our identity with Ishvara. Uska anubhav hoga. Just as we gain direct experience of sleep, sleep is a very mysterious thing. If you explain sleep to someone, it seems so mysterious. In sleep, there is no experience of the body. In sleep, there is no experience of your mind, your intellect, your senses. In sleep, there is no experience of the world in deep sleep. But we are present. So I am present, and I know I am present without all these names and forms. And that is my direct experience. Nobody can create any confusion in my mind about sleep. Nobody can tell me that no, you are not existing. I know that I was existing in my sleep. Though totally cut off from the world and the body, but I was existing, because that is my direct experience. Similarly, one will gain direct experience of one's own self as Brahma. There will not be any doubt there will not be any confusion. One will know कि aham brahmasmi, I am that Brahma. But for that, long period of meditation is required, depending on our samskar, our what we are carrying in our antakarana, how pure we are able to make our antakarana. It will take its own time, but doesn't matter however long time it takes. This is the path, and on the way also there is great joy, there is great happiness and peace. So it doesn't matter how long it takes. What is important is to go on the right path with faith in God, Ishvara, with faith in our own Guru, with faith in ourselves, with faith in the Shastras. We should continue to meditate. When a person has gained self-knowledge, when a person has gained all the Vairagya and has renounced all action, the only duty remaining is to meditate and realize the self. So don't worry about the world. When I realize myself, it will be the greatest blessing to the whole world. It is not a selfish action. It is not something which I am doing because I have already renounced the identification with the little self. It is like becoming one with the totality. So my realization will be the greatest seva of the entire world. You will be raising the peace level of the whole world. You will be raising the wisdom level of the whole world. Your very presence will make the world calm, peaceful, and healthy. The presence of an enlightened person can even set the most dysfunctional world into proper balance. It will be like a magic. The whole world will become more calm, peaceful because of the presence of an enlightened person. That enlightened person may be far away in some cave or somewhere in the forest. So don't have to think that it is something selfish or something not beneficial. But my realization, my enlightenment will be a blessing to the whole world. So with total faith and dedication, one should meditate. And once we gain the direct experience of our own self, Bhagavan says, you will experience supreme peace. Shantim nirvana paramam. You will experience peace, and this peace and happiness go together, Shanti and Sukha. You will experience supreme peace, that peace of moksha, nirvana paramam. Peace of moksha. See, all our disturbance which we experience now at the initial stage of our sadhana is due to the disturbance of the mind. And as long as we are holding on to the mind, the disturbance will be experienced. But an enlightened person transcends this mind. He becomes the very self of everything and everyone. No disturbance of the world and no disturbance of the mind and no disturbance of anything else will reach that Atma. So he experiences Shantim of moksha. So Shantim nirvana paramam. And what is this Shanti? Bhagavan says mat sansthanam. Mat sanstham. The Shanti which belongs to me, which is my nature, that is that Brahma, the Shanti of Ishvara, the Shanti of Brahma, the Shanti of abiding in Brahma will be experienced by this Dhyana yogi. You have reached the final destination. Shantim nirvana parama. See, like now in summer, we are feeling so warm, so hot outside. But then we keep on traveling north. Then we reach the Himalayas. So as we reach Haridwar, Rishikesh, there also we might feel little hot and all. But as we go further and further up, so as we go up on the mountains, go all the way near Manas Sarovar, near Mount Kailash, we will start experiencing more and more cool and cold weather automatically. It is the weather, that coolness is there of that place only. You don't have to carry an air conditioner there. Similarly, as we meditate and as we experience our oneness with Ishvara, we will experience the Shanti and Sukha of Ishvara. This Shanti and Sukha doesn't belong to, or they are not the expression of the mind, intellect, or the body, or the world, or any object. It's the Shanti and Sukha of our own self. So, mat sanstham adhigacchati, the person will gain that Shanti, which belongs to Ishvara only, because he has become one with Ishvara. So that Shanti, which is the Shanti of moksha, will be experienced. So this is the final that step, the final goal. The person has become Jivan Mukta. This person has become Sthita Prajna. This person has become what you call Siddha. This person has become Parama Bhakta. Different names. This person has gained Brahmanubhuti, Atmanubhuti, Ishvara Darshana, Bhagwan, Bhagavad Darshana. Different names are given. So he has become Mukta. So this is the path and this is the goal which we have to attain. But as I said, it will not come overnight. One has to practice for a long time. But one should know all the stages, all the steps in our practice. Everything, if it is clear, then we can just practice. So one who is practicing this dhyana, one who is constantly meditating, there are certain do's and don'ts. If we follow, then they will help in our meditation. Previously, Bhagavan had mentioned some external conditions which are required for meditation. Then we sit and meditate. But in one go, in our meditation, we may not be able to gain that abidance. So again we open our eyes, again we interact with the world, do our work, take care of our body, do the seva of our Guru. So when we are living in this world, while practicing this meditation, when we are again interacting and dealing with the world and taking care of our body and all, how should we live? So that our living becomes most conducive to meditation. That's what now Bhagavan tells in the following verses. How we should live means how we should eat, how we should sleep, how we should interact with the world, and all those little details which are very important. Means how should be the way of life of a Dhyana yogi. That is being said in the following verses. So let us chant the verses, but detail we will see tomorrow. Today you just contemplate on all the points which I have conveyed. Some of them are very subtle points, but you have to think about them properly and also give up all your wrong philosophies. It doesn't matter from whom you have learnt, from where you have heard. If anybody has any so-called Vedanta teacher talks about the world as mithya and all, don't accept it. Because it is not anywhere in Bhagwan Shankaracharya's commentary, he has not mentioned the Jagat as mithya. This statement is there somewhere in Vivek Chodamani, which is not by Adi Shankaracharya. But this statement, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, is there in one of the Upanishad also. There is one Niralamba Upanishad in which this statement is there, where the context is different, where the teacher is talking, giving definition of tapas. See, what is the meaning of mithya? Mithya means everything is in the mind. It is not out there. So, this world is in the mind of Hiranyagarbha. So, Hiranyagarbha can say the whole world is not there outside. It is only in my mind. If you think it is outside, then it is mithya. The whole world is in my mind. For Hiranyagarbha, the world is in his mind. For Vaishvanara, the world is himself. There is no difference between world and Vaishvanara. But when we identify with Hiranyagarbha, then the world is in my mind. When I identify with Ishvara, then world is potentially there in me. When I identify with Brahma, there is no world, there is no Jiva, there is no Jagat. Everything is Brahma and Brahma alone. So all this you contemplate and try to understand. We'll chant this shloka, but we'll see the meaning tomorrow. Natyashnatastu yogosti nachaikantamanashnatah nachati swapnashilasya jagrato neva charjuna. So you contemplate, think, read your notes. If you have missed anything, again listen to this talk. If you have missed, if you don't understand some points and some connection, then go, if you have missed some previous talks, then go back and listen to them and try to understand the whole teaching properly and practice. Okay, so take care of yourself, be safe, happy, peaceful. Don't be anxious, don't worry about anything. Bhagwan is there to take care of the whole world. And we will meet again tomorrow. Okay? Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram. Boliye Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.